description as well.
Yeah. Okay, so now everything's perfect.
Okay, perfect. So now what I'll do is stop your screen share. Let me take this over. And then I'll quickly brief you about the performance index. So
Okay,
let me know once you can see my screen.
sure.
And eventually you can ask me all of the questions. This video that we are creating at this point of time is something that we'll use as in the future as a training material as well. All right.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So give me 1 second. Okay. So whenever someone joins in the organization, as organizational leads, it's our responsibility to make sure that we get everyone, we mold everyone into a high performer. Okay. And this is why we use a leaderboard. So on the leaderboard, what we do is we give both qualitative as well as quantitative feedback to everyone, and we look at a bare minimum that everyone should be meeting to make sure that the expectations that we have in terms of performance is met. So
Okay.
if you see here, we break down the skill sets into three major categories. One is delivery, another one is communication and leadership, and third one is knowledge. Okay. So delivery refers to
Yeah.
the delivery of the work, like how do you conduct your meets, how do you deliver your work in terms of, let's say, if you're making any submissions, how is the quality of that submission? Okay. So right now we allocated 45%. If you break it down even further, it's 20 and 25%. This is as per during the shooting of the video. In the future, this could change or this couldn't change. This might even change. Okay. Then the second thing that we have into consideration is your communication and leadership. How communicative are you in terms of, let's say, if you're working along with your team, how good are you in communication in sense of, let's say, if you come in late, so do you communicate that freehand if you're not around? Things around communication more or less. Okay. And your
Yes.
behavior with the team members along with you. You have to make sure that you are helpful to everyone, and there is no toxicity in the organization. So this is also extremely
Yes.
important. Problem
Okay.
solving is we would be training you on a bunch of different SOPs, but usually what
Okay.
happens is people just go through the SOPs and then they just apply it blindly. So what we do
Yes.
is, in some situations we have uh, what's the word? We thoroughly test the individuals in their problem solving. In the sense, SOP है तो है, but let's say SOP में कभी कोई गलती हो गई. Not गलती, but let's say if there's a problem. For example, let's say big marker पे we are hosting a session,
Okay.
and for some reason you're not able to share your screen, which is important during
Yes.
hosting the session. So how do you handle that entire situation? We do all
Yes,
of these things in a controlled environment. So we throw you into a problem,
okay.
and then we test your problem solving skills. Okay. Initiative is something, so we also grade the level of initiative that you add into the organization. So for example, let's say if you're working on, again, a particular process.
Okay.
So based on the particular process, how well do you take the initiative, as in how well do you give ideas, or take initiatives in general, is something that we take into consideration. Okay. And finally, we also make sure that everyone in the team is upskilled on multiple fronts. So we train people on two fronts. Skill number one is usually a hard skill, which is, let's say, if you are into operations, or let's say if you're into marketing, then we'll be training you on Facebook marketing or whatever your core expertise is. And second one is soft skills. Soft skills is more around people related skills, as in punctuality. Not even punctuality. Punctuality is not even the right word, but more around soft skill. You know what's hard skill and soft
Yes,
skill,
yes.
right?
Yeah, yes, I know.
Okay. Now, how are these parameters evaluated? For that also, we have crystal clear parameters in place. So for the very first thing that we have is productivity. So productivity is refers to how you conduct the meets in general. How well do you come up on the meets and how productive you make the meets. So these are all of the productivity checklist. Now, if you miss any of these checklists, if you miss zero checklist, if you make sure that you follow all of 10 of them, then you'll be getting a 10 points. If you miss two checklists, you'll be getting 9 points. If you miss four checklists, you get 8 points, and so on and so forth.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So productivity refers to your ability to effectively utilize time, skills, and resources to achieve work goals and deliver quality results. Okay. Now, how frequently is this evaluated? This is done every day. So after every day, during the last session of that particular day, I'll make sure that I give you some feedback. So the team lead would be giving you feedback. Who would evaluate? Who would be the team lead? On how would we evaluate? As I mentioned, every checklist missed for calendar updation or meetings or floating meeting floating or hosting would receive negative marking. Okay. Also, one more thing: if you make the same mistake twice or multiple times, then isme, let's say if you make the same mistake once or the same two mistakes once, then obviously it's 9 point. But if you make the same mistakes twice, then the scoring would be even more severe. Does it make sense?
Yeah, yes, getting
Okay.
it.
Then the next thing that we have into consideration is quality. So what we would do as an organizational lead is we'll provide you with all of the resources. Okay. So quality refers, I'll just give you a quick overview. Quality refers to the standards or the benchmarks to which the deliveries are fulfilled. So let's say if you are supposed to work on something and if you do it exceptionally well, or let's say, okay, how do I put it? I'll put it in this way. We in the organization, we have for everything that we do, we have SOPs or guidelines in place. So
Okay.
you have to make sure that you follow those guidelines appropriately.
Yes.
Okay. If you miss out two of them, then you'll be getting negative scores accordingly. And if you miss 4 out of them, then 8 points and so on and so forth. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And so this is what we'll be doing. And this is also something that the team lead would be grading you on. Okay. So every checklist missed for existing processes. For example, let's say आज काम करना है Excel का. Just give an example. ठीक है? And
Yes.
Excel पे I have given you proper instructions that on column B you have to do this. But let's say by negligence you miss out on that, then accordingly negative markings will come into place. Having said that, if you're doing things for the first time, we do understand that if you're doing things for the very first time, mistakes tend to happen. So we have a little bit of buffer on that end as well.
Okay.
Do you get the point?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Okay. Then the next thing that we have into consideration is team collaboration. So team collaboration refers to your behavior with all of your team members. And who would be grading you on these things? It would not be me. It won't be the team lead. It would be the peers. Peers as in people with whom you work along. So let's say for you, it would be Amrita and everyone else with whom you would usually work. And this would happen on a monthly basis. Okay. Now, how would you be getting the feedback? This feedback, you would be getting it on the basis of two important parameters. And these parameters are the same parameters that I showed you yesterday. So we'll be asking you a bunch of questions. So let's say if you are the individual, so you'll be asked a bunch of questions. Is Krishna helpful in we'll be asking you a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
10, 15
Okay.
questions. Based on that, you'll be getting stars.
Okay.
Again, this is something that your peers would be doing. Okay?
You will ask for my teammates.
Your teammates, yes. I won't be into it. It would be your teammates majorly.
Okay. Yes.
Then we have problem solving. So in problem solving, to test everyone's problem solving skills, we would be injecting problems on the existing processes on purpose in a controlled environment. And based on the problem solving skills, points would be rolled out. And a scoring framework would be there in place to help out on. So you would be given crystal clear feedback on why are you given that particular score. For example, let's say big marker ka session you're hosting. SOPs and everything, we have it in place, but let's say you are not able to solve the problem that you faced.
Yeah.
So on the basis of the, so we'll be having some scoring framework with you, which would also be shared with you eventually. And based on that, if you are able to do it very well, then you will be getting 5 on 5. If you are able to do it, not the best way, then you will be getting 2 or 5. But we'll be having proper benchmarks in place. And who would be grading this? Technically, it would be a dedicated senior, which won't be the team lead. For example, right now, I'm the team lead.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yes.
It won't be the team lead who would be grading it. It would be someone else who's a dedicated senior, someone who is a senior but not exactly the team lead. But in some
Okay.
situations, we can also have the team lead, but the first preference go to a dedicated senior. If a dedicated senior is not around, then the team lead would come in. Clear enough?
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Now the next thing that we have is initiative. Individuals would be required to submit quality ideas on idea note. Depending on the outcome, schools would be rolled out. A scoring guideline would be in place to determine the scores. So we use a tool called idea note, which is where we gather all of the ideas. You are aware of idea note over the surface, right?
Yeah, it's just we present our ideas and it get collected.
हाँ, ठीक है.
Yeah.
So इसमें ऐसा होता है, let's say if you give an exceptional idea, your idea gets approved, and once the idea goes into submission, after submitting and all of the things, execution के बाद we realize that your idea, the idea that you submitted, got us great results.
Okay.
Then you would be getting some points. Now, what are the scoring guidelines? That is something that will brief it out to you when the time comes. In fact, I'm going to link that document here so you can read that
Okay,
across.
sure.
ठीक है. So peers का कैसा होगा? Peers का it's pretty much like we do it on peer grade. Let me see if I have something ready on that time. Just give me one sec.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So we have this feedback. Okay, sorry, my bad. We just need to change this a little bit, huh? But
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
don't go by the structure. जो अभी structure बताया, just ignore it. Just go have a look at the questions. So, does your colleague effectively communicate with team members? Please add a star if he does the following things. Okay. Then you have star one. Does your colleague effectively communicate in a timely manner? These are some of the examples.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, my
Yes.
college always responds to emails and messages promptly and ensures that urgent matters are communicated to the team immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the things that we have for communication. Then, does your colleague take initiative in finding solutions to problems? Please add a star. Now, accordingly, you would be required to add 1 star for all of the things that he does. Again, this is something that we do once a month.
Okay.
Okay.
But this is internal.
This is 100% internal, yes.
Okay. Okay.
But इसके basis पे whatever scores get generated, they would be reflected on this
Yeah. Okay.
team collaboration.
Yes. Yeah, getting
Got it?
it. Okay. Yeah.
ठीक है. Then the next thing that we have in place is problem solving. So as I mentioned you, problem solving, we haven't really created a document at this point of time, but it would be a document pretty much similar like this one.
Okay.
No, not this one. So we have problem solving, right? We are looking at problem
Yeah.
solving. So let's say in problem solving, we'll be having 4 or 5 different initiatives, as in adaptability, accuracy, clarity, or troubleshooting skills, something like that. And we'll also be having appropriate examples in place. If you follow all of the points properly, then you will be getting 5 points. But if you miss out on a few things, or if you're not able to do things, then depending on the quality of your submission, or depending on the quality of your situation handling, you would be given scores accordingly, and this is something that is going to be communicated with you for sure. That makes sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay. This is a problem solving. Initiative also similarly will be coming up with a scoring guideline. So the way I just mentioned, like impact of your idea, how powerful has been the impact. So I am yet to come up with those guidelines. I'm just in the process of preparing it. But once it's prepared, eventually it would be communicated to all of the team members. But it's going to be a very clear communication in the sense, there shouldn't be anything ambiguous.
Yeah, yes.
You go into it and then you don't have any idea what's happening. We'll make sure that we communicate as clearly as possible. Clear enough?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then finally, we'll be having skills. So every month, we'll be sending you a Udemy course or some YouTube videos or a bunch of other things. And
Okay.
on the basis of that, we'll be asking you some questions
Okay.
based on the answer. So here, this is the pretty much the same document.
Okay.
And then we'll be grading your answer on multiple fronts. In the sense, sorry, not this document, is actually this document.
Okay.
Huh. So based on the quality of your answer, we'll be grading it on 5 different fronts: relevancy, accuracy, clarity, depth, and organization of the answer.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, yes. These are the parameters. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this is how this entire thing is going to look like, the performance parameter. Okay. So
Okay.
let's say I sent you early in this month, I sent you keyboard shortcuts. Now, on the
Yes.
basis of
Yes.
keyboard shortcuts, I would be asking you a bunch of questions.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
the way you reply to the answer, in fact, we are talking about the relevancy, accuracy, clarity, and all of these things. You would be graded. This would be
Okay.
done on a weekly basis, at least at this point of time.
With all the colleagues or the teammates.
All of the teammates, but everyone would be getting different things. For example, you are into
Different. Okay.
operations, so you would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
sent some
Yeah.
operations related videos.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And based on all of the scores, daily score, so यहाँ पे you would be able to locate it. So here, as you can see, Jay was given, as you can see, Jay has scored pretty much 9 and up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In the past, we
Yes.
also had a few other folks who are scoring 9 and up. So talking about the bar, we look at a bar of 9 and above. 9 is the bar that we look at. Now, in the first week, we look at 7.5 because we tend just to, you're just new to the system, so you might make some mistakes. But
Yeah. Yes.
after once you get used, once you are in the organization for 2-3 weeks, and once you understand all of the systems properly, then we look at 9 and up. Okay.
Okay.
If you get lower than 9, we'll try to evaluate what was the mistake. Let's say if you are sick or
Sure.
something, and if things are happening again and again, then we try
Mm-hmm.
to evaluate. But if it's done by negligence, then you would be going under, all of the employees would be going under multiple phases of warnings. First would be a verbal warning.
Okay.
Second one would be a written warning in most of the situations. Third would be a performance improvement plan, as in you would be taken on a performance improvement plan, and we'll try to evaluate even deeper why things are happening that way. And still after that, things don't work out properly, then we might also lead to termination.
Okay.
Okay. Now, typically, this things like this hasn't really happened in the past because whenever we onboard individuals, we do appropriate filtering.
Okay.
But this is how things look like. But the thing that I just mentioned, not necessarily we all the times will be giving a verbal warning. If it's a mishap that's too big, it has
Yeah.
been
Yes.
a
Yes.
very big mistake, then again, depending on the nature of it, if it's a massive negligence, then we could also uh, roll out termination straight away.
Okay.
Okay? But technically, things like these haven't really happened till date.
Okay.
Okay, but because we have proper systems in place, unless
Mm-hmm. Yes.
someone's trying to abuse the system, then only it happens that way. But
Okay.
things like don't happen usually. Okay. So just to summarize, एक बार सारे के सारे scores आ जाएंगे. At the end of the month, you'll be seeing the scores here. You will be seeing everything on a graphical basis here. You will see. So Jai can
Okay.
see his all of the scores in total. So Jai can see, what's his total, what is average, what's his team collaboration
Mhm.
score, what is his quality score, and so on and so forth. You
Okay.
can also compare yourself with everyone else. So Jay could see Jay is green, right? So Jay can see that
Yeah.
when it comes to quality, he's like equaling everyone. But when
Okay.
it comes to productivity, he's a little lower than yellow, which is Melissa.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And then here you also have a trend analysis about everything. So this gives you a
Okay.
very visual cue. This communicates with you visually on where your strong points are and where your weak points are.
Yeah, it's kind of a result of 1 month, you can say.
Right. So
Okay.
how do I like to put it across is, I mean, think of this as, yeah, you can see it as a score, like your score.
Yeah, it's scoreboard.
And these scores are
Performance board
something,
on.
yeah, and these scores are something that we take into consideration during the appraisal phase as well. Appraisal, as in,
Okay.
after a given point of time, we'll be doing a promotion,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
we'll be
got it.
discussing promotion. So at that point of time, we take these scores into consideration as well.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So this is the
Yes.
entire journey of performance index. And okay, so I think I've done the briefing part pretty well. You can also see the averages here. You can see the total. Now
Yeah, yes, all visible.
this is how the performance index looks as of today. But over time, we are also making a lot of changes. So if this video is referred in the future, maybe things could change. So
Okay.
uh, I mean, whatever is the latest update would be reflected here. So just putting this out here, you can also see your trend analysis in the sense how has your performance been so far. Okay, here
Yes.
you also see things in terms of quality. Here you can see 31 days, and this is for the
Mhm.
month of April.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and then you see all of the team evaluation parameters. Okay, so I think this is pretty much everything that I wanted to brief you about. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me at this point of time. If not, then probably we can wrap the call. I have a couple of things to discuss with you, but I wouldn't
Okay.
want to do it on this call. I'll give you a local call afterward because I would
Okay,
want
sure.
this to be a pure training material. Any questions?
Okay. No, 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 all good.
No questions, right?
Okay.
Okay. What's your thought on this though?
No, this is very good, like scoreboard. Like this is very good. We can acknowledge the performance of all the colleagues and team. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is good.
Okay, perfect. So I think with this, I'll wrap the call
Okay.
and meet me on the same link again.
Sure.
Okay. Wrap up this call. I mean, let's leave this call so that it gets recorded. That recording I'll
Okay,
share it
so
with everyone else.
I just have to end this. No, like saving or nothing like that.
Actually, wait. You can just stop the recording. I think we're done with the recording part.